Today's guest is Kim Rich, a passionate educator from Silver Creek Elementary School in New York. Her capstone, Growing Solutions, is much more than a garden. It's a living, breathing classroom rooted in student choice, in food justice, and cultural heritage. Started as a courtyard cleanup project, and it's evolved into a powerful student-led initiative. Kim's going to tell us all about it. I'll let her introduce herself. Kim, thanks for coming on. Let's dig in. Good garden metaphor there.
Great. Yep. As you said, I'm Kim Rich. I am a STEAM teacher at Silver Creek Elementary. So I work with students from kindergarten to fifth grade, and we really get to focus on like the 4 C's, and just using a lot of hands-on activities and really engaging lessons.
What was your passion for learning? Has it something you've always been interested in, or was there like a 2 a.m. moment where you were like, oh, I've helped mold the next generation?
I've always really enjoyed working with children. I used to babysit, and I started off with that in a summer and also as a summer camp counselor. So I was a camp counselor at the Gow School in close to East Aurora, New York. So I got to really work with a wide range of students, and it really just I kept going about 4 years there, and I just really enjoyed it. It was like, it didn't feel like work. It was so much fun. And it was a boarding school as well. So I got to just kind of like be in it for 6 weeks. And it was just, it was a great unity. And I really just loved from year to year seeing the students grow. And I was like, you know what, I think I could do this for my job. And my grandma was also a kindergarten teacher. So she had a lot of great experiences that she shared with me too. So I just had a lot of great experiences that I got to have when I was younger that really, makes me want to teach others. So
Absolutely. What's the like one word approach to your like education philosophy?
let's see.
It's a hard one.
I know. I was like, I have to think about that. I guess problem solving. So because, just a lot of the things that we do in my classes are, identifying what the problem is and how we can solve it in creative ways. Because I was about to say creativity, but it's really the whole process of going through the problem solving like stages.
Yeah, that's what we're all about at Thinkering. I guess that takes us into the problem, which is like food scarcity, not knowing where our food comes from, how to provide for ourselves, not understanding the systems that drive it all, how it applies to chemistry and biology and even music when you play music to a vegetable versus not. There's so many ways that, getting your hands dirty in a garden applies to every aspect of learning. How did Growing Solutions come to life?
Well, it came to life because, well, as a STEAM teacher, we do have access to a courtyard and we have a garden space. And I know other educators worked on getting that garden space going before I got there. But I think just like having it, it kind of fell to the wayside. It was hard to know who's taking care of what. And then it just really didn't get utilized to its full potential. And so I was like, we have this beautiful courtyard. We have this, and it's an enclosed space so that we don't really have any issues with like, outside animal, like too many animal issues. So like it's just a very nice, safe, clean space. And I basically what I really wanted to do is be able to have kids help me decide or work together to figure out what we want to plant. And I'm also learning right now how to basically make a regenerative garden so that it can be able to continue on and on. Because like that's the problem is people might start a garden and then it's really hard to maintain over the summer, especially since that's when our harvest is plentiful. And so it is really hard to manage if it's not set up either in a regenerative way or have, certain summer school classes or something set up so that it continues on and on. Basically, I was thinking about where my skills are. And previously to this, I had kind of a black or brown thumb. I don't know. I'm not super great with gardening, but that's why I chose to go through with the Growing Solutions capstone, because I knew I would be able to work with, other professionals and work with people that get me learn, because that's where I felt like I needed the most help. I also get to work with robotics and lots of technology, but I feel like that's a strong suit. My weaker knowledge is basically on gardening and keeping it sustainable. Also, I want to be able to have the students help, either make a rain barrel or also do some composting so that we can keep using these practices. And the students can also, learn how to do it at school and continue it at home or in their future.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And the cool thing that you're doing that's different than a lot of other fellows is people are leaning into their strengths and they're leaning into what they know and what they're an expert in. And they're, trying to take that one step further. And you're doing the kind of opposite. You already have so much exposure and expertise in these other areas. What's a new area that you can learn and grow in that you enjoy and then bring that to your students. So that's really cool. I like that. That's kind of speaks to the lifelong learner mentality that we want to instill in that next generation and be a good example of. With the, I guess the capstones are designed to solve an issue while creating, an experience in a learning environment. What's the issue that we're solving with growing locally with children in our schools and putting that green space to use?
So what's the problem we're working towards? Basically, so the problem is that sorry, hold on, I blanked out. Okay, give me just a
Like in
second.
my head, it's all around like, food scarcity, insecurity, like the sustainability. And then there's like the cultural aspect of like what grows here, why, who are we feeding, what, history goes into it, all of that stuff.
Yeah, so basically, well, what the problem I'm trying to solve, like I said, is to try to revitalize that garden, use that space, and have the kids, really have their like a hands-on living lab where they can explore world problems and learn through, hands-on learning. Because, for example, once we do have the garden set up and hopefully flourishing, there may be some issues like pest problems or irrigation, and I want the kids and I to kind of approach it together, like, oh, what's going on here? What kind of like what problems are we seeing, and also learning what kind of data to collect so that we understand like how we can improve these issues. And especially if they're happening at the school, then they may be happening in local farms, because quite a few of the families have grape farms or different types of farms, and we live really close to the Seneca Nation. So we do have some students from the nation, the Seneca Nation, that attend our school. So I wanted to, really and bridge cultural experiences as well. So I'm trying to, have them connect with their cultural heritage and have them feel empowered to solve real world problems. And in the meantime, we're also trying to grow as much produce as we can to either, give them families, because I'm just still working out how we're going to get the food to the families. But if we have some successful produce, I would love to send it home with our back program, or just have some family, like maybe I've talked to my administrators, possibly like doing a delivery over the summer so that some of the families that are in need of, food are able to get some fresh produce. Because although the backpack program is wonderful, but a lot of the food they get are canned goods and, things that have a long shelf life. So I think it would be really awesome if the kids can really help take part in, producing this food, and like they, really owning it, and like just, the problem that we're trying to work on is, getting food to families and connecting everything all together into one big living garden, a living lab.
Yeah, I like it. A living lab. That's perfect. What's brilliant about it too is like I've seen so many of these school garden programs. Like from my experience, I always saw the abandoned school gardens. I saw the space where there was one set up, 10 years before and it wasn't in use anymore. And then coming to Thinkering and helping build here and getting in touch with all of our partners and mentors, I'm starting to see, flourishing school garden programs and what those look like. And, something I never
Mhm.
got to experience. And like our partner, Rachel Kinsall, she's using hers in really cool ways where they're growing flowers and then using those flowers to distribute for like fundraiser sales and stuff for the schools, saying thank
Mhm.
you to the teachers, sending them home to the parents. And then it evolved into like local weddings being like, can we use those flowers? And all of a sudden they have like a profitable business that the children are running out of this greenhouse that started just
Mhm.
how can we use this little garden space? So it's cool to see that there's not really a cap on where these quote simple, straightforward projects, quote unquote, start. Just a couple plants in the ground or in a window in a classroom. And
Mhm.
then, a couple years later, you have like a full fledged business potentially, the
Yeah, we're
entrepreneurship
providing flowers
programs.
for weddings.
Yeah, there's no cap, and it's so cool that it can go in so many directions. If you could snap your fingers and, have that dream program, what's the one thing you'd bring to it that you haven't figured out yet, but just that cool feature you'd like to like include into it?
Well, I've actually kind of thought about ways to fundraise with this garden too, because like we do have plots that I'd like to grow some vegetables, but we do have this summer, this spring we did start planting. We're definitely I haven't implemented the actual full project yet, but we did start, and we do have some flowers planted. So that that may be an avenue that we could go to as well. Either. we probably wouldn't have enough flowers to sell. But I also considered if we did end up with quite a bit of produce, the students could possibly put on some sort of like farmers market or type of market where we can sell some of the produce too, even if it's at a discounted rate, or for the families, just so that they can get practice with maybe running a business, doing some of the transactions, just getting some life skills along with it. So I kind of want, like, once we have it established and it's growing well, I kind of want to see where we can go with it. And then I did also want to do, like, once our garden is flourishing, I also want to have like a garden party and invite families to come and, like, maybe at our open house, come and see the garden, see the students work. And if we do have a lot of extra seedlings as well, because I signed up for Layla Miraskandari's class, and I did a webinar with her webinar as well for for doing like almost no summer maintenance. So I'm trying to use some of those skills to get the garden set up so that it can keep going, through the summer, even if we don't have a lot of volunteers. So I'm kind of doing both ways, trying to connect with other people to see who is willing to help. And if we don't have a lot of helpers, at least the garden will still be managed enough that it will be okay in the fall, and we will probably have some things to pick. So I'm trying to use kind of a combination of those ideas. And then, maybe we could end up selling some of the plants we started, because we also have a greenhouse. So we may be able to start some vegetable plants, and we might not have enough room in our garden. So we could either send some home to families, or we could have, like I said, set up at like a little market. I know that there's a community garden as well that's getting started in Silver Creek. I did talk to the community garden, two of the members, to see if they'd be to adopt our garden during the summer, but they're just starting their project right now. So I think they don't have the time at this moment, but that could be something that we could join and partner with later. And what we could do is, like, if we have a lot of seedlings started and they're doing well, we could donate them to the community garden so they have some coming from us as well. So yeah, I'm figuring out where I want to go with it, but I want it to keep going and be able to, and another thing too is I do want to include the like a representative from the Seneca Nation. And I've already talked to a couple people about coming to do some storytelling about the traditions and the agricultural traditions that they use and why. So I'm trying to see where we can get, more involvement and more community engagement.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just did my thing there. That's amazing.
You said amazing. I don't think you said that's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. With so like community tie-in is like important to you. If you can kind of give a message out to the local community, how can they support you? There's obviously, you can write checks and support the project
Mhm.
financially, but what are some other good ways you could use support from the community?
Other ways from the community, I did talk to another expert that has a flourishing school garden as well, or a community garden. So I think what I was originally trying to do was a big community garden. I kind of had to scale it back to a school garden. But I would still like the community engagement aspect. But what I was thinking too is sending out, I have a couple documents started too, sending out um, a letter of like interest to see which families, if any families would be interested in coming to help, especially over the summer, because then that would be a time that we can schedule them with their students. I know that that may be a difficult thing for us to coordinate with, because you have to get into the school. But if I have certain families that are signed up, I can work on getting like approval, or ways to get into the school. But anyways, it would be great to send out kind of an interest survey to see parents or families involvement. Like, would they want to come and water? Would they want to come and weed? Would they like to donate some seeds? Like, I kind of want to do like an interest survey to see how much they would like to participate and what they would like to do. I do have another parent who has a lot of extra soil, so he said he would donate that. So, pretty much just trying to see who is interested in either helping maintain it, especially over the summer, or, if they can help provide some of the materials that we may need.
Yeah. And then I bet coordinating all of that's going to get kind of gnarly. So, work with us on using ThinkerBot to take all of those resources that we've aggregated from like Layla and Rachel and our other partners, and then your incoming, like, volunteers, what they have, what they want to get out of the experience. And then we can hopefully use the AI system to like figure out like who's doing what's the best schedule, what's the holes and all that, and then piece it together. That'll be a cool.
That was the part that I was, like, not exactly sure how to do because, like, I haven't done something on a scale like this before. So I'm like, "Yeah, I can send out that survey," but then, like, what do I how do I go from that, like, the information to, "Okay, you're going on Thursday at" whatever, and, like, really coordinating everything. Also, when I did talk to the person from, I think it was Boston Spa, she said that she also, like, numbered each of the boxes they have, so she assigned specific numbers and, just kind of gave everyone, like, a tutorial of what's expected and kind of just having these like guidelines for families if they do come. Like if they're in charge of box number 8, then they're sticking with number 8, and like just kind of having it a little more organized than like a free for all. So trying to figure out the best way to organize it so that it is taken care of. And like I said, it would be great if some families would want to come with their students to help with the watering. And that's another thing that it's through Layla's course is she had another like suggestions of how to have the materials out for the families to use and have like a little key so that they know where to get it. And so like just all the little things that you don't think about of organizing, okay, they're coming to water. They don't have access to the hose, like so trying to figure out all of those little logistics.
Layla at Kids Growing City is awesome. And every time I connect with her, I like try to chime in. I'm like, oh, we just got like, I went to the farmer's market and got like 4 of these trees, blah, blah. And then she's like, well, you have pairs for them, right? Or they won't pollinate. They need 2 of each. I'm like, oh, so it's like a
It's like,
great
oh,
source of
good.
information. But then I'm always figuring out like, oh, I should have planted that there. And she's always like, text me first, like email me
Yep.
first.
Yeah, so once I finish her course, I'm planning on emailing her because she's already said like, "Hey, how can I be of help?"
Yeah.
And so I think I may just like send her a picture of what our garden looks like right now. And I wanted to go through the course first before I ask questions that she already addresses in the course, so that she can help me revitalize it because I wanted to use the hugelkultur technique that she has mentioned. And so I will probably have to dig these beds down a little bit first, and then the kids, and not just me, but I'm going to have the kids help me do this. And we're going to dig them out and then start with the layering with the wood and different layers of materials. So just so that we have it set up and ready to go, and then we can plant on top of it. But that's the whole thing is like we want to make sure that it is set up and ready, because then the following year it won't be as much maintenance. It'll be if we just kind of add on top of it. So it'll be great.
If you're filling up the beds with the hugelkultur woods and leaves and stuff and the sticks, you'll be the groundkeeper's best friend.
Oh yes, yeah. They'll be like, oh, here you go. We've got some more for you.
All right, kids, we're picking up sticks today. Let's go. Like, have a good
Like
time.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that's a good time, right? Well, you can learn a lot picking up sticks. With the first time you went into the courtyard, do you remember the moment where you like looked around and was like, "Oh, I'm turning this into a garden. Like I'm making this happen."
Yeah. And well, we also luckily we have some chicken coops in there too. We have one big chicken coop and a smaller chicken coop. So that was another I have started working in the garden previously to this, but we were mostly just growing fruits and well, mostly vegetables to feed the chickens. So it was more just like we're just kind of like dipping our toes in a little garden here. But I was like, we have this space, and I looked and I was like, we have a lot of great resources already. If I just learn more about how to use them and teach the kids more that about how to use them to help affect families and people. I'm sure that the chickens really loved our fresh vegetables too. But if we could do it on a bigger scale and really help families, I think that would be I'm just so excited about and I know a lot of kids that really love when we get to do gardening and weeding. They're like, oh, I did this with my grandma. And so a lot of them get to connect with things they've done at home. They're like, oh, I know how to weed. So then I have like 4 or 5 kids that are experts that help the others because they really know how to dig down and do it. And so it's just I've already loved my experience that I've gotten to use with the garden space, and I just can't wait to make it even better.
One idea I had that popped into my head is I wonder if local businesses or organizations can sponsor specific beds and um, you know just something they can put inside there. The local Chili's can just take a picture of the garden bed and put it up inside their place and be like, and you bring them a new picture every month or so to kind of like hang up
Yeah.
and show the garden progress. That could be a good way to fundraise for it for the local communities. But you know, sticking with that support and community, so far from the community locally, who's shown up to support the project, both inside the school and outside of it?
So it's mostly been let's see. So there was a father from Just Pets. He works at Just Pets, and that's one of our local businesses. He's the one who offered to donate a bunch of soil. So he's donating soil to us, and then the middle and high school are starting a gardening club, and he has even more soil to donate them as well. And he is the father of two of the students that are no, I think well, of the students that are at our school. I know that one of them is in the elementary, but I think there's either one or two in the middle and high school. Anyways, so he works for Just Pets, and he gave me his contact information about and asked if, told me to contact him if there's other things that we might need. Seeds. Also, I did talk to, like I said, the community garden, one of the representatives, Rose Battleson. She told me that there's a seed library that we can get some seeds from for next year as well if we need them. But we do have quite a few seeds already, so we're not going to take any just yet. But, at least we know that there is a resource. And then I also, this isn't going to be directly a part of the garden, but I also signed up for what's it called? A workshop with energy and water for our future. That's through the Seneca Nation, and it's a 2-year program, and it starts this summer. So I'm going to be going for about 3 days to learn to blend hands-on STEM activities and rich perspective of indigenous knowledge systems. And so I am going to be getting a stipend for learning this, and then I would like to use some of those ideas in the garden as well. So it's more, there haven't been as many community members that are like physically giving us things yet, but it's been more of like just gathering data and collecting information and making a plan.
So awesome. Any project like this is got those moments where views shifted and you hit hurdles and you have to adjust. What's been the biggest hurdle you had to address so far?
For me, I think I'm going to run into a lot more hurdles once I'm actually implementing the garden, like us planting and like physically doing it. Will say that in the beginning, I kind of had an idea of making a actual full on community garden. And I was about to like try to do it outside of the school and maybe make some like do a new one. But I think that my ideas were kind of too broad or too wide. Like I want to do too much for what we can do right now. And I had to really cut it back and think about, what am I trying to do? Is it a community garden? Is it a school garden? And it is a school garden with community ties. Like I've just kind of had to like rearrange the way I'm thinking about it and think about the space that I actually have. So that's been the main hurdle. And also just like trying to get more workshops and training so that I can learn how to make the regenerative garden and like what I can do. Before that, I hadn't even heard of a regenerative garden, so I, just kind of trying to figure out what to do with this garden space and how to make it so it continues. And I have talked to quite a few of my colleagues as well. So a lot of the research has been talking to people that work at Silver Creek that have, either been around for a long time, know of a lot of like, because I don't actually live in Silver Creek. I live about 40 minutes away. So I don't have the benefit of being around in the actual community all the time, And I've been there 4 years, so I do have some experience. I really was leaning on more colleagues that, have been there for quite a while. Yep.
I'm going to ask some kind of closing reflection questions. At Thinkering Collective, we're all about humanizing education through, creativity and passion. What does humanizing education mean to you as an educator?
I would say, okay. So I think that it's like relevant to the students. So that's another reason why I went to with the garden, because and it's like student centered content. So they are going to be able to choose how to like what to grow, how they want to design the garden plots. So they're just having a lot more meaningful and personal experiences with the garden. And also, like I said, like the cultural integration. I really want to like highlight the Seneca Nation's agricultural traditions because they're right there. We have a lot like the territories right there, and we have a lot of students from it. And I'd like for us to learn more about it and honor it. Also, like a real world purpose. My project is trying to tackle food insecurity and sustainability, which it directly affects some of the students that we have at our school already. And so the kids I feel like it's going to help because the kids will feel like they're helping and doing more, and they are, and not just feel like it, they are. We're going to be producing some food to actually give to families that need it. So I wanted to make sure that they have student voice as well. And so I want the students to be able to co-create the project, work together with their teams and identify problems, propose solutions, and possibly like make models. So go through kind of like the engineering design process, or depending on what problem is, and share their ideas with, with the class and each other, and maybe with families. I want to like collect a lot of this, the data. The students have journals, like a field journal that I'm going to have the kids keep track. And then I've also got a few other resources to look into and have the kids help like use as well. Let's see. I talk
Love
really
it.
fast.
No, it's just perfect.
So with my reflection as well, like the humanizing reflection, I'm gonna have, like I said, I'm gonna have them do a lot of journaling and documentation. So I would like to have them use the physical journal to track growth. I'm working on making a digital journal through Teams as well. I started working on that during my curriculum development. So that the kids, because third through fifth graders have iPads already, like a 1-to-1. So we could take the iPads out and then put it right in there. So then that can track our data a little bit better and then be able to use those to, pull some data into like spreadsheets and really just like take, okay, this was the temperature. That's another thing too, is like I have to figure out what kinds of data we need to collect so that we can see what's going on, like soil moisture or all sorts of things. But so basically, I also have what else do I have? Oh, inclusion and belonging. So, I forgot to mention this too. I want to include bilingual garden signs, along with the cultural storytelling. So the students are going to help, the students and some of the staff will help make some signs for the garden that are in English and Seneca so that, they're like really hardy signs. They're not going to fall apart. So we're going to get them like printed at this local sign shop. And that's another local business that we're going to work with to help get the signage so that it's represented in our full garden. We do have a Three Sisters garden plot as well. So there is a section that is designated for the Three Sisters. But if there's other agricultural traditions that we would like to try, we could use that space for something. Yes. And then the real world connection too is that the students would be addressing real world issues like composting, water conservation, and food access. And then let's see. And wellness is their outdoor learning. The garden provides a calming sensory space for movement, mindfulness, and connection to nature. So we'll really get to, dig in and I know the kids will be very engaged, and I think this is how my project is going to help education and really try to follow as many of those pillars as we can.
That's amazing. I'm going to end it on letting you tell us, what does the world need more of in education?
Passion, like,
Passion.
and energy, like passion and energy for something, because you really got to put your heart into it, and things aren't gonna get done until you really care for it and take ownership of it.
I love it. That's Kim Rich, a Thinkering fellow who reminds us that sometimes the most radical act is to plant something and nurture it into community. That's a good line right there, right? But thank you for joining us on Work in Progress. And if let's see, is there anything else that you want to say or kind of promote or drop in?
This time, just that I'm very excited for this project to keep developing, and I really appreciate all the connections, the experts checking in, all everything that I've gotten to experience through the Thinkering Collective, and I look forward to actually implementing this, and probably even as an alumni come back and be like, hey, I'm working at this part, just really having that community of educators and professionals that can really help, so that when I do have implement this project, I can really get it off the ground. And I just know that I have support, and I appreciate it, I appreciate the experience completely. So thank you.